but on this virtual platform, it would be difficult for all of us to have a cup of tea together. So, nevertheless, we can always, have a cup of tea when we meet physically, face to face. So, let me start with the introduction first of all. I'll start with a very good phrase. It says, if you are not living on the edge, you are taking up too much space. That is a life philosophy of Mr. Manoj Kumar Parmar, who is a program director at AI Shield, which is a venture of Bosch. So we would welcome you today as our esteemed panel member. And I would like to throw some light on his career path. He has completed his MBA in Innovation and Entrepreneurship, and he has also done his Executive MBA program from IIM Bangalore. He has many certificates under his name, almost 13 patents under his name, total 8 publications he has undergone. He has been awarded in Vinnovate 4.0. It was an agricultural theme in the year 2016 of Bosch. Not many corporates he has served. So, having enriched experience in his own field, welcome you again to this platform.
Thank you, Swati. Thanks for that wonderful introduction.
Now, Subir sir, having an enriched experience of nearly 25 years, an immense HR leader in his own field. He is currently serving as head HR with many awards in his name. He has been awarded as Power of India by Economic Times, People Choice HR Leader Award in 2020. He has been guest panel and selection process for School of Management. He has many publications under his name. He has worked with many corporates, Tata Communication, then Orange India, Reliance Communication, DGB and Wireless Head. And he has completed his education from Xavier Institute of Management. Sir, we welcome you here again.
Thank you, Swati. Lovely to be on the same panel as Manoj. I'm really impressed with the credentials which he has. I don't match him, but thank you for the generous introduction, Swati.
Welcome, sir. Welcome.
Sir, you are so kind. You have double of my experience, and I think that is something that I aspire to have.
So today, the amazing part is generally whenever we have any kind of summits, generally people from the same field are connected. But today we have people from very different fields. One is the HR leader and the other is completely a technical person from his own field. So I believe that today's discussion will definitely go well and we will get great information. So let's start. We stand on the brink of a technological revolution that will fundamentally alter the way we live, we work, and relate to one another. In its scale, scope, and complexity, the transformation will be unlike anything humankind has experienced before. We are not aware, yet aware how it will unfold, but one thing is clear: the response to it must be integrated and comprehensive, involving all stakeholders of the global polity, from the public and private sector to academic and civil society. I, Swati Jain, Manager Industry Academic Partnership Cell at Karul University, welcomes you all on the global platform for rethinking the role of education in the fourth industrial revolution. So when we talk about the fourth industrial revolution, this is something that is upcoming in today's era. The fourth industrial revolution is driven by the convergence of digital and physical technologies such as digital connectivity, cloud and edge computing, Internet of Things, smart devices, artificial intelligence, blockchain, robotics, augmented reality, virtual reality, and many more. You, the university, must transition away from our past, shift the focus from learning what we already know to an educational focus on exploring what hasn't happened yet. So we just wanted to understand that are the educational institutes being updated on changes implemented in the fourth industrial revolution by the industry, perspective with Sudhir sir, we will be starting with you to understand whether the education institute is updated on the changes been implemented in the fourth industrial revolution by the industry. Our industry is giving us that input.
So, thank you for this question, Swati. I am not sure who is the audience, but this topic looks to be a little heavy, so I'll try to make it a little more relevant to the students. I assume most of the people who have logged into this call are students. So I would not share something which is heavy, but very very light and which are relevant to the students. So if I have to give you an example, so if you go in a jungle, the biggest animal is the elephant. And if I ask you which is the tallest tallest animal, you will say giraffe. And if I ask you which is the fastest animal, you will also say cheetah. But who is the king of the forest? It is the lion. He is neither the tallest nor the biggest nor the fastest, but still he is called the king of the jungle.
Yeah.
Because lion has the courage, he is bold, and he gets what he wants. So similarly, I feel that any colleges or students which are there, or students those who are there, he need to have the confidence. He should never be afraid of. He should be a risk taker, and plus he should also have the charisma. So talking about the rethinking of role of education in fourth industrial revolution, I feel that colleges are doing fantastically well as far as behavioral and functional skills are concerned. But like I gave the example of forest, you are preparing students to be an elephant, you are preparing students to be a giraffe, you are preparing students to be the cheetah. But to make them a lion, they need to also have have certain skills. The skills required are the skills through which he can be either an entrepreneur or he could bag a employment. So two skills which are very important and which I'm afraid most of the education institute does not teach is one is to skill of how to get a job. So there is a complete details which are there or complete process which is there, which every student must know that what is the process which is being followed by the corporate, what is the requirement which a corporate is having, how is the recruitment process happen, what preparation a student need to do. So these are 4 or 5 things which is very very important, which every student should know, and which unfortunately education institutes are not focusing much on this element, the finishing element which is there. And the second is instead of being a job seeker, how can they also be a job provider? How they can be entrepreneurs? So these are 2 things which I would say that every education institute need to focus to bring in more revolution and to support more students and to also support the corporates.
Thank you, sir. Manoj sir, what is your intake on this?
I think I second what sir has mentioned, many other things, but I would like to, specifically enhance 2 or 3 points which he has told. And the first one is that what he said about, right, that the students need to have the other skills. When I come from the technology side, right, we realize that technology just for the sake of technology has no meaning. You need to understand the human aspects of it. And that means not only the consumer side, but also the producer side, that how the different engineers and the people come together to make the beautiful products. Just to give you one data point, that in 2016, when the engineering experiments survey was done, at that point of time, it was realized that there is only 17% of an graduates who can work on IT or ITES related projects. And out of that, only 4% can really work onto the software product. This is the state of an India in 2016. And I'm not so hopeful that it has improved drastically from that point of time. And therefore, what Sir was saying, right, that essentially that we need to also focus on to the other aspect is really missed out. And their technical skill is in a one thing which people and they can learn from anywhere. Today, with respect to MOOCs and everything available, you can get the level of knowledge that you need. If you have a time, you can get it. But what is difficult to get is the kind of professional skills, the soft skills. And I think the engineering universities also have to focus on those aspects, because those are the things that they can directly, give as a differentiator compared to the technology. And for technology, they can always utilize, the MOOCs and other things also, because it is coming from the best of the best cases. So that was the one point that I really wanted to highlight. The second point is that Sir mentioned about the fishing school, entrepreneurship, and all of these things, right? So universities and everyone is trying to feed the knowledge. But the three dimensions which are being really missed out is that how can you build, the courage into the students so that they can pursue the research, they can pursue the startups, they can pursue the things. And during this particular process, can we give them, the needed resiliency and persistence? Because all of the great things that we are enjoying today, right, have come out of an enough big struggle. It's not that the mobile were not there. The mobiles were invented in 1970 by Motorola. But it took 30 years of a resilience and the 30 years of a persistence by various people in their eminent field to, come to that level where we have really now the mobile is ubiquitous. So the industrial, the revolution 4.0, which is going on, it is not new. It is in a pursuit which is going on for the long time. And what is happening is that everyone has to now understand, come on board and try to, explore the things. And the last point is that this is coming from the AICTE's, the B.V. Mohan Reddy Committee's report of 2018, which was really, really hard hitting on the entire engineering education across India. And they mentioned the three big issues. And I'll literally read it from the report to make it, easier for all of them, is that there is an issue of a low enrollment in the engineering education, and especially division which is happening for the classical stream. Let's say 40% enrollment is happening across India, and for the computer science and related is only 60%. So we have a low enrollment. On top of that, the problem gets combined with of a low placements in terms of the engineering things, because we are no longer creating that many jobs even in the IT and ITES things that but the inflow is higher, so the low placement. And the last problem is what we just talked about, the low employability. So I think if we combine all these three things, right, that's a much bigger challenge that we have to tackle, because Industry 4.0 and other things is all about automation. And what we are trying to see is that how with the less number of humans we can still increase our productivity. And if we just simply extrapolate that trend, what in 2000 that would be needing, the one plant to work with 2000 people, going forward in 2025 with automation and all the other technologies, 5 people can manage that particular kind of productivity. So technology is a boon on the one side, but on the other side, it has its implications. So we have to care and we have to prepare for that. That would be my answer.
Thank you. So generally we talk about collaborative learning, right? Because these days we have started using these terms, because earlier when we used to see that universities are working in their own directions and industries are also working in their own direction. So now a concept called collaborative learning has just emerged. It's a kind of educational approach, which involves group of learners from the industry and the university background who come together for knowledge sharing on a common platform. So many such several benefits have been attached to it. So generally we talk about such collaborative learning taking place in XYZ colleges. But do you feel that this systematic shift in knowledge sharing between the industry and the academia is going to help people at large, the students at large, and ultimately the industries at large? Manoj sir, we'll start with you this time first.
Thank you, Pratik. Pratik, when we talk about this collaborative learning, right? In 2018 or 2019, when this particular UGC's guidelines were forming and the draft was circulated, at that point of time, I contacted my university and see that can we do this? And then they grabbed the opportunity from both hands. So I am in my second year, actually teaching in the students of the MTech and the BTech about the embedded systems and real-time operating systems, right? And from my first year of an experience, what I realized is that the faculties have improved a lot more. However, what they are missing is to give a students, that industrial big picture, that where this technology is going, how it is going, and other things. So in my collaborative learning experiences, what happened is that when I was teaching the students, literally asked that, sir, please tell us the industrial applications. Do not talk anything about the examples from the book, because those examples are almost like 10, 15 years old. If we go and talk to that to anyone, people will probably, not able to relate to it. So what change happened in that is that entire learning sessions of 10 hours, I had took out 3 industrial applications and then contextualized everything for that particular industrial applications, which has helped them to bridge that. The final gap is that theory, they understand the practices, but where it is applied and how it is applied, that part was that was taught. And after that session, after 6 months, we received a feedback from the students who has gone into their interviews for that embedded system and other things. They reflected very clearly saying that the industrial application part was one of the big aspects during that interview section, because when the interviewers asked the questions, they were able to quote the specific examples and say that how it really works. And I think that demonstrated, the very good part that why this collaborative learning is very helpful, because as an industry persons who are working, who can actually bring that industrial contextualization and aspect to the students, which is helpful to bring their knowledge to the very high level. Because so many times what happens is that this theoretical subjects teaches you the 1 or 2 things. But when you come to the industry, you have to do a lot more, much more than compared to those theoretical aspects. Because no job is one specific. Like if you are in electronics communication, it's not that you only do electronics and communication. You will also have to program the systems. You have to also understand if there is a mechanical systems involved, what will be the response of a mechanical systems to control that, right? So this interdisciplinary and multidisciplinary nature of a work which is there today can really be understood if you go for the collaborative learning. And I really believe that that is the one thing that each and every university should start doing. Stop doing the expert lecture of in 1 hour, because in 1 hour, one person comes and just talks and goes away. Have little sustained, the kind of sessions of 7 to 8 hours kind of anything, which gives the students an ample opportunity to ask the questions, clarify, and build that connections, which will also help them to, get the necessary internships. Because that also is one big issue that we come to the campuses, and internship is something that we don't take so much of, that rigorous assessment. What we really need is the learnability of the students, which we can identify during this collaborative learning effort. So this was my experience, and I thought I will share with you. That's all.
Suvi sir, your intake on this.
So, Swati, I'll share you a couple of data. Like if you see in India, if I take only BE and MBA colleges, there are 5,500 BE and MBA colleges in India, which produces close to about 7 lakh engineers in MBA every year. And as per the reports of Economic Times and SOCHAM, only 10% of those students get placed. The rest are either underplaced or not placed. So this is the situation of the quality of engineers in MBA we are producing in most of the colleges. Now, coming back to your question, it is very important. The collaborative approach is very, very important, but the collaborative approach needs to be on continuous basis and starting from inceptions. So I would say there are 5 areas where institutes and corporate both need to collaborate, starting from design phase. For example, I was visiting one of the IIMs last week, and I am also associated with a couple of large universities. So how are you designing the course? The course, most of the courses are very, very outdated. I mean, when I used to study engineering and MBA, the same thing is being taught even now. The second one is the methodology. What is the methodology you are using to teach? Now, some colleges have this case study methodology, some has lecture methodology, some has a blended approach. So this methodology also need to be defined, that which methodology is more useful for the student to be more industry ready. The third point is, more than the students, faculty need to be trained. See, faculty are the backbone of any institute. So faculties needs to understand, they need to know more about the corporate, the application part, how this engineering is being used in the organizations. For example, if we talk about computer engineer's job is not only coding. It is not the only one expectations. These was the expectations of corporate 3-4 years back or 5 years back. Now the expectation is multi-skilling. The corporate is expecting that you would do 3-4 things. You would do coding also, you would do interact with the client also, you would do servicing also. So the more multi-skilled you are, the more you will be in the demand. And the third is the responsibility of the student. Student also need to go beyond their course curriculum, because one course curriculum cannot include everything. So they need to go beyond the course curriculum and study. And the final one is that from the start of your engineering or MBA, whatever a student is studying, they need to get into a project mode with the corporate. They need to connect with the corporate either through the institutes or themselves, try to understand what is happening in the corporate, what are the challenges of the corporate, and they need to find solution to the problems which corporates are facing. And I would also say that it is not only the responsibility of the institutes, even corporate has the equal responsibility. So it is the responsibility of the corporate also that they partner with the institutes, they collaborate with the institutes so that both help each other, and ultimately it is going to benefit both of them. If quality student comes, then we also have to go to limited number of colleges to pick up our campus recruits.
Very true, sir. Sir, one of the points that you mentioned, the first point that is regarding the design phase, proving the curriculum, course curriculum, as you said. Sir, we at Parul University, we have already started with this. So we have started training board of industry advisors for each and every discipline. So, say for example, if we talk about human resource, we are taking, industry people who have almost 15-20 enriched years of experience in their own fields. We are taking them on our board. We are sharing our curriculum with them, and then we are asking them to, help us to revive our curriculum so that it definitely has that industry flair, and plus the theoretical part is also good. So, considering all these things, we have started taking an initiative. I hope that this will definitely help us in the future.
If you're doing it, it's very good, Swati, but I would say you would be Parul University will be the one of the university which is doing it. I'm on the advisory board of a couple of large universities like Parul University, including private and government sector. Most of the advisory board which they constitute is for the purpose of using their name for admissions. I may be sounding a little negative, but they want to flash the name, put it on their websites, but the actual interaction with those advisory board in designing the curriculum is very, very limited. But if you are doing it, it's very good and well done.
Definitely started, and sir, we are not publicizing it anywhere. So we are doing it very genuinely. So hope it pays back to us. In fact, we have requested Manoj sir also to be our board of industry advisors.
Sure. So just one more point that I want to add up on what sir was saying is that the students have a responsibility, right? In my experience, today's digital world, there are a lot of opportunities for students to do a lot of activity which reflects where they can demonstrate their skills and assets. If you are from the computer science and that kind of a background, you have the entire open source movement where many of the companies are using the open source software and everything. Either they are contributing, they are consuming. And if you get early onto this kind of an open source movement, you can start contributing there and actually use that to demonstrate that yes, you have gained all the skills. Because that also means that you are working collaboratively with the global people in voluntary basis, where you can hone your soft skills, professional skills, how to work collaboratively in the team, as well as focus on to your, the technical aspects that you want to do. That is for the computer science. Similarly, for the other streams also, there are different flavor of an open source things are there. For an example, there are certain, that the community-based events which are happening, certain social innovations which are happening, which certain firms are doing. So it is not only that the corporate, but the students have multiple avenues to go. The reason why I'm telling is that majority of the time the students when approach the corporate has this so-called mindset that do we have an MOU with your university? No, and in that particular case, that we cannot do anything because we have that made this memorandum of understanding with only certain universities, and we can only work with them. So that is the state of affair today, and I don't want the students to be at the receiving end of what is happening on that particular basis. Though they have really good intentions, but sometimes those intentions will not be converted into the actions due to a lot of other things. So therefore, they should keep their mind open and also try to build their, that demonstrable skills at somewhere else also, which can help them to improve their, the employability quotient. So that would be nice.
So, and I will tell you, Swati, professionals like us and Manoj, they are more than willing to help corporates. I will tell you, whenever corporate or any institute is approaching us, if we have time, we generally try to support in whatever small capacity we can. So if I get invite, say from speaking at Business World or People Matter or any of such forums, I think twice. But if I get invite from a college, I definitely try to accommodate in my calendar so that I feel that this is one way through which we will be building the career of a lot of students. A lot of people approach me, and I'm sure they approach Manoj also, that how do I get job? I mean, now is a desperation time. From March to April, May is quite a desperation time. So with this experience, I have experimented a few things. For example, there is a book which I am writing, which is getting published by Penguin in the month of April, How to Get Job. From corporate's perspective. So it is being published by Penguin. So it is very, very small things, like there is a YouTube channel which is small started where you can share. Because even if me or Manoj or any industry leader or anybody who has achieved a little bit of success, even if they want, they can't help so many people. So it becomes, you need to find out also a platform through which you can reach to larger number of students. It is very difficult to respond to each and every communication on social media, though we all try to do that, but you need to find out a larger medium through which you can impact larger number of students or job aspirants.
True, very true, sir. Okay, moving to the next topic. The role of academicians is very critical in providing students with experience-led degree programs. However, in recent years, the number of academicians having prior experience of industry has also reduced, who are joining the universities. So, to combat this, universities has initiated mechanisms that enable academics to gain insight from the industry, such as collaborating with industry on either student internship projects or some research collaborations, or providing faculty training programs. And collaborating with the universities as such. So, how effectively do you find that these trainings or these collaborative learnings through internship, online trainings, webinars, leadership programs is going to help to the university from the industry perspective? Subir sir, with you this time.
So I would say this in two parts. See, as an industry professional, we always have the opportunity or good fortune to go to an institute and teach. So that's an advantage which we have. But you will be glad to know that we also provide the opportunity to faculty members in the colleges to work with us. For example, we have an incubation center in Delhi where we work with, on a continuous basis, we work with a lot of institutes, including MIT, Harvard, and a couple of IIMs and IITs. So they are working with us continuously, so that they partner with us and work on the problems which we are facing. Internship is not the solution, because internship is too short a program. You have a program for 2 months, and most of the students are more interested in taking it later than actually doing the work. So what we do, or what I recommend to most of the colleges, is that you need to have a larger program. So internship is as part of the curriculum because you have to fulfill the criteria of AICT or UGC or university, whichever you are affiliated to. But you have to have student need to have larger association with the corporate. We give a lot of opportunity. Currently, I'm working with around 10 to 12 engineering and MBA students, including IIM Indore, where we have engaged them in 4 or 5 problems which we are facing, or 4 or 5 solutions which we are trying to create for future. So student also need to take interest and work for longer period of time, because once you work for longer period of time, then only you would really get that insight, and you will be able to add value. And faculties, they should. I mean, I agree with you that faculty need to have exposure of corporate. Otherwise, they can teach theoretical, but application of those theory in the corporate world is a little bit different. The environment is different. You get a different environment, both in terms of when you want work to come, or whatever specialization you have done. So it is extremely critical for faculty members also to have corporate experience, which we are willing to provide if somebody comes forward.
Manoj sir?
So sir has said some very good things about that the faculty development and all these things. I believe that the Indian industry is not being sufficient, and I say with lot of the humble submission on this particular aspect. We within the Indian industry, right, would like to collaborate with the big brands which is outside India on majority of the things. And then there are reasons for that. One of them is that corporate wants to engage the academia is mainly to have the research where we can leverage the expertise of the faculties and their network in order to bring in newer insights. That particular portion is very, very weak in India. To give you one very simple example, that 2019, the Department of Science and IT has put up in a problem statement with money tag of 300 crore to build a one single bit quantum computer. And there were essentially 7 institutes, the largest institutes who are in this particular dimension, didn't even bid for that. Now, what do you expect if this kind of a newer thing which comes up and none of our academia really want to pursue this kind of a thing? Where do you expect that the corporate will go? They'll obviously go outside for the same reason that how the students are going abroad, the corporates are also going abroad. That's one part. So we have to really strengthen that kind of the research initiatives and other things which has an applied nature towards industry. That is a one portion that we should really think about. How should we do it in the longer term? The second thing is that we are collaborating. As sir has mentioned that their organization is collaborating with all the institutes. We also collaborate with all the institutes, but as you heard, right, the premise is that what is the problem statement that my industry or my company has, where I can get an insight. And that varies greatly, especially in India. There are a lot of industries who are not at the forefront, and they don't really need that kind of a research or that kind of a thing. So they are okay with whatever is available. That also inhibits a lot of the collaboration kind of activities. So this is from the corporate side, is what I have seen. From the university side also, that the professors, despite of conducting FDPs and all these particular things, right, one of the consistent thing which came out is the learnability of our professors for this particular, the newer technologies is little less. I think they are doing it because somebody is telling it, but they are not doing it because they want to do it. And that's a great difference. Because if they really want to do it, they will, find out an avenues and projects and other things where they can really learn out of it and then build for something more. So that unfortunately is not happening. And I know that all the 3 points which I have said are quite, that far away from the positive thing, but it also makes sense to reflect on that why we are in this situation, not always the good part, but also the other things. And the last point is that I'm coming back is again onto the faculty sustained, what sir was saying that, right? The sustained kind of engagement. Now, the sustained kind of engagement is that it can only happen if there is a win-win scenario. I can conduct one FDP. I can, take an internship as an organization. I can do this, but in return, what we are getting? If university is saying that okay, we are going to give a good students, there are 5,000 universities who are actually claiming the same thing. So how you are different? Where the differentiation is coming from? What is your strength that you will bring to the table and which will enable organizations to have a sustained, the collaborations with them? Despite of all these scenarios, right, the good part is that this so-called innovation and entrepreneurship, the ecosystem of India is budding with a lot of university graduates. They are coming with their ideas, and then they are, going to the various places, finding a place for them to incubate and other things. And all of the organizations are welcoming them. And these are the same students. Now, the irony is, before passing, they were refused the internship and everything. But once they come with their idea, they are open with both the arms. What does it say? That the students have to establish that what they stand for, what is their differentiation, and what they really want to do along with this. So those were some of my observations that I thought I will share with everyone to reflect upon.
That was wonderful. That was wonderful. In fact, sir, Subir sir and Manoj sir, both of you gave us a short example that we should train our trainers, a kind of TTC program. So a faculty development program. So we already are doing the same. In fact, we are insisting our faculties, during their summer and winter break, they can have undergone that. So or some kind of short-term project if they can take up from the industry and have that industry corporates. So we are trying our best, but always we need some support from the corporates. So hopefully, corporates will be supporting us and motivate us to motivate this candidate. Okay, moving to the next topic. Now, when we talk about the digitalization, the online teaching, the number is increasing, especially when we talk about specific terms and concepts. One of the study has revealed that the number of participants has almost doubled in the last decade. That is from 18 million students, it has raised to 13 million students who are attending these online courses. So, these things are done very well. And still we still have a query from the corporate. And how does this digitalization play an important role in collaborating industry and academia? Manoj sir, let's start with you.
So, Swati, this is a very good question. That in disguise, the pandemic has that created that boom that people can do learn virtually, and these numbers are just a reflection of that particular thing. One very interesting thing happened is that when the people got into this digital platform, they started learning not only what their industry wants, what the university is demanding, but they started exploring their interest also. And that is one very big interesting thing has happened. I know that couple of students who went into the MOOC because the XYZ reason the classes were not happening and they really wanted to learned the engineering thing, and then somehow they also got into the poetry. And they took a class from Harvard on the poetry. And that was like, wow, why did you do that? And then the answer which came out is that, because we wanted to do that. But as an engineer, we couldn't have, got this kind of classes in the university, that poetry. And people will laugh on us if I talk like this to my students. So this digital thing, I can learn privately. I can explore my interest and I can be who I really want to be. I think that is the greatest thing that the digitization has done, which has given an avenue and opportunities for all the students to excel in the area that they want to excel, not rather what the society wants them to excel, not what their parents want, not their university and their fellow peer wants, but really what they want to do. So that was one interesting thing I thought I'll bring here. Second thing about the digitalization, the fact of the matter that we are having this webinar, right? imagine that this has to be conducted in physical, the kind of that struggle that we have to go through. I have to travel from Bangalore, the professor has to travel from Pune or other places, and then you have to land there, then you have to arrange for all the things. The kind of an overhead which was there, in this small size of a session has gone out completely. That also is, so it made it accessible as well as affordable, and the interest of the people comes in. And for at the same time, now the faculties, this is now a good playing ground that digitalization has done. Faculties and students both have access to the world-class resources. And now if the faculties don't step up their game, the student will definitely going to step up their game. And then they will go out eventually, right? So what will happen is the kind of the chess game, that who would like to be one step ahead in terms of the students or professor. And whichever way that whomsoever, stays ahead in their game is beneficial for the industry, because we are getting the students and others who are really kind of, the foundationally trained, not the really trained into that particular, the stream, but foundationally trained. And that means when the engineer or we recruit engineer, anyone, we can make them, we can make them start working in the very first week. And that is what I have observed that the digitalization can do. Knowledge, employability, access, affordability. I think that's a brilliant thing. And people should do it now. That's all.
Suvi sir, your intake on this.
Yeah. So I have mixed reaction. I always believe that adversity brings the best in people. So and adversity is the best way to invention. When you are in trouble, you look for new things and you invent, and that is what we have seen in the last 1 year's time. Not only corporates, but a lot of startups which are there, students, those who are learning, they have found a new way of learning, and it is very, very good. There's a lot of innovation in digital mode of learning. You have micro learning, you have so many tools of learning, so many platforms to learn, which is good. Now, if you talk about, say, students of Parul University, it is good and it is very, very effective. But if you look at it larger at an India level, things, it has a bit of a challenge. The challenges are three. One is, I'll give you my example. During the startup, I had three objectives. One, I will start a YouTube channel to help the students, which I did. The second was to learn coding. So I wanted to learn HTML, these things. So when I went onto the internet, it was such a flood of information. I didn't know where to study from. What is the right way to study? What is the right things to study? So social media is an ocean. So in this digital tsunami, it is very, very important for students, or even for me also, to know what is the right source to learn. What I want to learn, what is the right source to learn, so that I don't learn a wrong thing. There is a lot of possibility that student might pick up some certain things which are wrong. So what I want to learn and where I want to learn, from where I want to learn, is very, very important. And third and the final element, if we see at a macro level, then in India, you don't have too much English speaking people. So even the engineering students, those who are there, so reputed institute like Parul University or such university, students will be very, very comfortable. But if you go to people in, say, Bihar, Jharkhand, or even remote places of Maharashtra, or even in Assam, people are not that much familiar with English. So that is another challenge which this is posing. So these are few things which I think that it has brought a lot of the knowledge has come to my place. I can learn from my mobile phone, but some challenges, if we can address, it will be more effective.
So I think just to add upon sir's last point with respect to the language accessibility, right? This was really a big problem that we have seen at the beginning of 2020, all the way till March. That the language wasn't a big issue, which was realized for not only for all the MOOCs but also for the NPTEL, which is also important as such. Now, very interesting thing happened is that there are a few fellow students of IIT Madras and some at IIT Kharagpur who sat together, transcribed the entire lecture into their regional languages, and that started another movement altogether. For an example here is that in a Parul university, let's say there are certain students who are coming from that they don't have a good English, but they would like to understand that particular thing. If one of the students can take that particular lecture's transcript and convert it into the Gujarati as and where it is needed, it becomes again next level of accessibility. And if you see that is what has happened for so many courses onto the platforms like Coursera and NPTEL. So you have an original lecture which is going on in English, but you have the subtitles which are coming up in your regional language. And that has created another level of an accessibility that you can't even imagine. Because the English is not only the problem of the upper states, but there is also in the southern parts also, there are certain very, very peculiar places where the language is still an issue. Because the students who are coming up are still in the particular medium up to the 12th, and then they have to suddenly transition to the English. So that also is a very interesting thing that digitalization can do, that you identify a problem, you solve it for yourself, and then it is a solution which is available for everyone.
True.
And this is the kind of movement that I have also seen that which happens somewhere in July and August for some of the courses which are like widely consumed for them. Again, there is the ratio and other things which are there, that why not all of them, but at least I'm happy that for some of the courses it is available in all the languages. For an example, Coursera has for some of their the top 100 courses which are going on, out of which for the 50 courses they have the transcripts in Hindi available. I believe that. Now, at least it's not the English and it's in Hindi, it is available, which is there for everyone to consume. So that was just the anecdote that I thought that I will share it, that how the technology also helps to solve our problems of accessibility.
So even I would like to share something. See, we are dealing with one of the corporates for executive development programs. So executive development programs is a kind of platform wherein we are providing trainings to the employees of the company. So one of the companies based out in Gujarat has approached us, and they want to provide training to their blue collar workers, wherein telling us that these employees, these workers are 10th pass and they are from various zones of India. So they are from Bihar also, MP, Maharashtra, but they don't understand Gujarati. They don't understand English. They just understand Hindi. So we have framed the entire curriculum. We have translated the curriculum in Hindi language just for making them at ease, so that they can understand, and it is easy for the employees to grasp it well. So even we are for that.
I think, Swati, if you have provision to take questions, you should allow people to ask if they want to ask something.
Definitely. We are
So that
open. I think there are faculties and students also. So students are already on the, we have kept this, live streaming on the Facebook, but there are faculties who are connected with us. I'm sure, a couple of faculties might be having good questions to ask. I just insist to faculties, if anyone has any question, please, you can interrupt us in between and you can go ahead. So we actually plan to have a question answer session at the end. So, the faculty might be waiting for that, I guess. So, okay, as suggested, we can always have, questions in between. All right, moving to the next topic. Industrial revolutions basically have transformed human values, and we have moved to an era wherein we started with hand production to mechanized production, and now completely into automation and computerization. So this fourth industrial revolution, it has urged the process of transferring data from digital domains and offline reality via interconnected systems to improve life. So, how are industries preparing their employees on upskilling them? And how does industry have planned to add integrity and inclusivity to online education? So, we're starting with you, please.
There are a couple of ways through which most of the industries are doing. I am also on the panel of CII, so I can give you the visibility of a larger industry. See, there are three, four kind of industry which exist in India. One is the IT industry and the new age company which Manoj represents and a lot of new startup represents. So there, people, those who work there, they are called digital native, which means people who have born after Google was born in 1998. So they are very, very digital savvy. I mean, my daughter or my son is much more tech savvy than me. There are second kind of people, employees who work are called digital migrant. Example, me and I'm not sure about Manoj, but I can tell you very frankly that I am not digital savvy, but I'm trying to learn. I'm trying to adopt. And the third population is digital tribe. People who are 45 and above who have never worked on computers so much, but they are trying to adopt to the situation. So when we talk about digital automation and learning, we need to focus on all these three populations. If you focus only on the new age population, you would only be able to train about say 10% of your workforce. The second element is the sectors which you are in. So, for example, if you are in IT sector, e-commerce sector, or new age sectors, then everything is digital. You don't have to come to office. It is a paperless office. But large segment of India is in traditional sectors, like you have manufacturing, you have small scale industry, you have medium scale industry. There you will have to take a hybrid approach. If you try to implement what a Facebook implementing or what a Infosys is implementing, that may not be successful that much. So those are a few things which are there. As far as training is concerned, our employees are concerned, we are or any of the industry, they are making their full 100% of the employee basic digitally literate so that they are able to work from home, they are able to operate computer, and they are able to work in future also fulfill the objective of the company even if they are not coming to office. There are second set of employees who are being made as an expert. So we have a lot of organizations are working on data analytics, data scientists, the new things which are AI, ML. So these are few areas which most of the companies are training, say close to about 10 to 20% of the employee, so that they are able to do the niche job. And another final area which a lot of companies are doing is that they have realized that technology is the future, and they have to have internal innovation center which can work on a lot of technological related product, technological related services within the organization, which could be a future business model for the company.
Yeah.
Manoj sir, please.
I think sir has put very beautifully digital tribe, migrants, and native. I think we at Bosch, we have all the three generations within Bosch, because we are 135 years old company. We have a lot of white collar, blue collar employees. So we have a pretty much, the kind of a cluster that you can think of as a good sample of the industry within our organization. And we have taken multiple steps. We call it one as a digital fluency. That means how we have the programs for, to have a communication fluency. We termed this as a digital fluency last year, where the whole idea is to make everyone come to the common level of a digital fluency in terms of understanding, to take care that nobody is left behind, nobody is marginalized in this thing. The diversity is also taken care there. So therefore, we say that digital divide has to be bridged. We do not want only the set of a new, the younger generations to really go forward, because they can go forward and they are there to have their experiences and other things. But our senior, the employees which are there, who has seen the world, who knows how the rest of the world works, how the product really works, how to do the manufacturing and other aspects, right? Those are the core things which they have as a tacit knowledge. And what we would like is that they understand, we make them come to the level of, the digital fluency, so that they can also guide the newer generation what not to do. I think this is a very critical difference that at our organization, which we have realized, we need our, the senior most and knowledgeable people in order to tell us that what not to do. And therefore, what we can do is something that is there. So we are not kind of in a preaching organization, but we would like to become, the guardrail organization, which essentially puts the two guardrails around and then say, okay, rest of the road is you. Do it whatever you want. And this guardrail is essentially the experience and things which are coming up, which is coming from the digital side. So this is one thing. We have also started something called a technology fluency, which is an upskilling and reskilling program to have this emerging technology fluency, so that the people who are working in their field, they can absorb this technology and see that how it can be applied meaningfully. Because we just don't want to teach them in a technology. For an example, if we are teaching somebody who is working on, that the embedded system, a technology for AR and VR, augmented reality, which is whole of the user centric, that is a great divide, and then it doesn't help both of them because it brings an anxiety inside that particular employee that what I have learned it, how I will use it, and what will be the impact of this. So we are looking at that how the adjacent technologies for their work can be given them as a kind of pedagogy and curriculum, so that it is helpful for them as well as the company. That is the thing. And we implement this as in two different mechanisms. One is called federated mechanisms. We have a center of excellence in the pockets for each and everything, and they are responsible, to drive certain topics across the organization in a very federated way throughout, worldwide. Let me put it that way. And we also have, for certain topics, we have created an internal academics. As such, for an example, for the AI, we have an academy in-house with a goal to train, like 20,000 of our employees directly onto the AI, who can directly apply them. So success metrics is not only that whether they are learning, the success metrics would be that how much of the products and other things have been using AI. And our CEO has put up on a very wonderful vision, says that by 2025, all of our products will be either using AI or ML, or will be manufactured using AI and ML. Now, if this is the kind of a vision that we have, we need to launch this kind of large programs. And a final anecdote about Industry 4.0 is that Industry 4.0 was a term coined by Bosch in 2016 in one of the McKinsey's event, where they asked that what you are doing, and one of our executives says that we have seen the three different revolutions. This is the fourth one, which is the cyber physical systems, and we are going to bridge the physical and cyber systems together. So I think from that point onwards, that the our whole game has been that essentially how we can benefit internally, how we can transfer this benefit to our customers and to the larger society as a whole. Because technology at the end is going to be the game changer, and we have already seen that in the pandemic, that how it can really take the humanity forward in this case. So that's all.
True. Technology is being integrated in every sector, including the education industry also now. So definitely, we are moving ahead with this one. One thing I would like to know regarding this finishing school concept. Subir, from your point of view, being an HR leader, just wanted to understand, if we start inculcating such finishing school concept, for our students, is it going to help the industries, in the long run?
I strongly feel so. See, you need to understand how industry recruits, or a student need to understand how industry recruits. So, for example, if we go to say 10 campuses, now we get application in thousands. It is practically not possible for any organization to give right amount of time, attention, and qualitative interaction with each student to select the best. Now, what happens is, coming back to the first example of giraffe and tiger, which I gave, in that half an hour, you have to make the mark. Okay, so you don't have to be giraffe, you don't have to be cheetah, you have to be the lion. So when the campus comes, so it is an art. I mean, there are a couple of finishing school sites which are there. One is called howtogetjob.com. So they are providing, there are many things which are there. So it is very important. Students need to know. So I'll give you certain example. One is the CV. What kind of CV you need to have? Because CV gets a attention of about 40-50 seconds. In that 50 seconds, either your CV is this side or that side. You may be the best. But if your CV is not this side, you have not got an opportunity to be called for an interview and show that you are the best. The second is suppose if we go to the campus, group discussion. Now people need to know how to get shortlisted in group discussion. Every activity of corporate in campus is with certain objective, and student need to know. I'll give you. Then comes the interview. Then comes the written test. There are a lot of tricks of the trade to pass that course. You don't have to be brilliant. You can't be brilliant. To give you an example, suppose if I and Manoj go to Parul University and if we interview 100 people, if I go separately, the selected people will be different. If Manoj goes separately, the selected people will be different. Same process, same company. Now, what happens is you can say that it is a competency-based interview, it is behavioral interview, it is a lot of technical terms you can use. But when it comes to selection, it's all about gut feeling. It's not about you. It's not about Swati is the best or not. It's about whether you are able to meet my expectations or not in that 30 minutes. Now, there are certain tricks of the trade. If I can share one trade, say for example, if say Manoj is coming to campus. Now, as a student, I need not know about me. It's not about me. It's about Manoj. So what is Manoj liking? What does Manoj like? So that you can go to his social media platform and know whether he likes food or he posts about travel blogs or he posts about anything else. Now, when you go for the interview, if he asks, what is your hobby, for example? Now, I need not say that my hobby is bird watching. I need to relate my hobbies to what Manoj's hobby is. Okay, then he will be able to appreciate, because every interviewer wants to select person more or less like him. So these are, now if you are, so that is one example which I gave you. The second example is corporate, the number of vacancy which you see in market is only 30% of the vacancy. Remaining 70% of the vacancy does not get publicized. Now, how do you reach those vacancies? So, how do you reach those vacancies? How do you find people? Now, suppose you want a job in, say, X company, say, for example, Manoj's company. Now, how do you influence the person in Manoj's company to get the job? How do you reach people? How can you find a mentor or a sponsor who can help you in finding a job in that company? So, these are a lot of things which are required, which students need to know. Just sitting in campus, getting selected or getting rejected is not the concept of finishing school. It is completely an art. You need to reach to the vacancy. You need to prepare yourself. You need to prepare yourself to impress the others. And there is a complete 15, 16 areas which needs to be covered to be able to make students get the job or make future job ready.
Very true, very true. Thank you for the inputs. Okay, moving to the next question. India has witnessed a quarterly growth of nearly 3.4% in the number of internet subscribers since the pandemic. India has now become the second largest market for e-learning after the US. So this is what some studies are revealing. Universities, they aren't left behind on more and more online programs and webinars that we have discussed. Universities have already started with these learning models. And even we, as a university, we have started with work integrated programs, which is some kind of full-time degree course wherein the student can, without leaving his or her job, can pursue his further degrees. So this is a kind of earn and learn, program, or a kind of learn and earn model that we have started. So our industry is working in hand with the universities like this by giving an option of upgrading existing qualifications to their employees. So Manoj sir, please.
Thank you for the questions. And I think that the straight answer is yes, that all the organizations are doing it. And I'm one of the beneficiaries. So you mentioned that I finished my MSc in Innovation and Entrepreneurship. So I finished my MSc in Innovation and Entrepreneurship from HEC Paris. It was pretty much online course with 18 months of a rigorous for the full degree. And it was partly sponsored by my organization because it was in a niche. That is the one, the direct answer from my side. Other thing is that we are into that discussions with multiple universities where we are, forging MOUs for the learning for our students, learning for our employees while they can remain in the job and still complete the degree programs. Because one of the thing which came out from the MOOC was that they had that foundational knowledge, but they never had that subject matter expertise. That means they need to spend much more time in guided fashion with more resources, and that couldn't happen by just simply curating in a set of moves. So that therefore there was a need for the seasoned, the academicians who can tell that okay, what is necessary for all of these employees to work. While we have placed the requirement that we need, the certain uh, employees to be fluent or expert in one specific technology, and therefore please, the curated program, and they have curated a program for that particular thing, which are the degree programs as such, the degree granting programs. They are not the normal programs. Also, with this new, the new educational policy which has come in, you would see that the IISc, the premier most institute of the India, has launched a master's program in the field of data science, AI, and other things. And the very clear requirement is that they are not going to allow any students to come in. If any students or anyone to come for that particular program, they have to come via the corporate route. That means if I want to go and attend that particular, the master's degree, I have to request my organization that please go and talk to them. And once there is an agreement at that top level, then only I can go and do it. So these are the newer channels which are being established for multiple reasons. One of them was that it was very, very difficult for the working professions to really go in class with the regular students, and cannot have that kind of, the commitment in terms of a time, because they are not only, struggling with their job, but they have a family, personal life, and on top of that, they are taking this plunge into the education, right? So all the three dimensions has to be balanced differently, where there is a sensitivity which was needed to be brought in by the faculties, organizations, and the people who are going for. And therefore, this newer policy and the newer things which are created, they are really helpful. And also, to add one more thing is that in our organizations, we have tied up with various, the prominent universities, institutes like IIM, IISc, and other places, where we have created a specialized program for our employees to really go, learn, explore, and then come back and apply. And the good part is that since they are going as in a cohort, they are not the one person, but they are going as in a cohort. This cohort bring back and still remains in contact and becomes a kind of the center of gravity for that kind that kind of activities around it. And then they start the percolating the information knowledge. They become a kind of an expert group on that particular technology that we want to work on, and that's how it really helps. But organizations have to be a little patient with all this kind of thing, because it's not 1 year. It will require a longer commitment for the other things also.
Sure. Nice. Subir sir, your intake.
So, we do a lot of initiative. I mean, every organization does, because learning is something which is very, very important, and every employee needs to learn regularly for any organization to grow. I would mention specific three things which we do, which I think we do little differently than other organizations. One is we sponsor higher education. So any employee who wants to do higher education, any kind of higher education, company takes the full cost and we sponsor them. That is not unique. The unique is when the employee comes, we give them an increment. So if employee completes a higher education program, we give them increment, which is a fixed increment of 5-6% if they complete the course and come. The second is we have established couple of innovation center, a couple of exclusive center for learning of employee. So one is, since there is a lot of focus on data and data monetization, so we have set up a center for data analytics. And the second center which we have set up, it is called Center for HR Innovation, where we work with a lot of institutes, a lot of SMEs, and try to do a lot of research, and plus also provide them services both on a honorary basis, on a paid basis, to large number of universities, large number of SMEs and MSMEs which are there. So these are three things which I feel we do a little differently than most of the corporates, and hence I thought to share.
Okay. We generally talk about apprenticeship programs or say internship programs when we talk about university and corporate collaborations. So generally, this apprentice they play a very prominent role in linking this higher education and building the relationship with the corporates and especially in the world of work. So just wanted to understand, and nowadays the UGC and the new guidelines that have been shared by UGC, it talks about the apprenticeship and internship embedded programs. So wherein a student can undergo apprenticeship or internship for 3 years, wherein 50% of the evaluation will be done by the industry and rest 50% will be done by the university. So, sir, what is the intake of the corporates on this? Will corporates be easily accepting this kind of initiatives that UGC have passed on in the new guidelines? Sudhir, sir, what is your intake on this?
Say two things, Swati. One is the compliance part. So obviously, as a responsible organization, we will comply with whatever government latest notification is. But we go beyond that. See, compliance is one part. The moment you try to be compliance oriented, you will try to find out ways to find shortcuts. What we believe in and we strongly try to do is that we go beyond that and we try to be a little more collaborative with what we are trying to do. So, to give you an Apprentice Act example, so currently the Apprentice Act says that you have to take apprentice between 2% to 10% of your total employee strength. Now, many organizations feels employee strength are people who are on the company roll. Okay. Whereas some people's understanding is it has to be the total role, including the contract workforce, because it has financial implication. It has financial implication because you have to pay certain money to the. But the way we see it is that we have to train these people, and we have to train them in such a manner that they are able to find employment outside after they complete this course. And you'll be very happy to know that we have set up called Tata Power Skill Development Institutes, and we have about 6-7 institutes across the country where, without any support from the government or anybody else, we train people on skill which are required by the power industry. So what we feel that as a responsible company, we don't only have to fulfill the talent requirement of our organization, but for the whole industry. So that has been our endeavor. And apart from that, beyond our industry, also we work on various skill levels. Idea is 4 E's, we call it, which we work on: employment, employability, entrepreneurship, and education. So these are the 4 focus which are there. And whichever way we can impact the family and the family members and the society, we are more than happy to work.
So I think just like to add one more point, what Subir sir was mentioning is that I think that the legacy of Tatas and legacies of Bosch is much beyond than the industry. They exist to serve the society as a whole, and I think that that we have taken to the heart, like how they have their own academy. We have our apprentice centers, where the whole idea is that we take the students who are from 10th and 12th pass, who are either going for the so-called ITI or diploma, which is a very large, the population in India, if you really see. And we are trying to bring them from, that to the level of a blue collar and give them necessary skills and other things. And therefore make them available not only for the Bosch, but for the larger society. And with the hope that the one person who is employed can take care of the family of 4. And that's the multiplier game that I think we are playing in terms of a society. So we are not only doing it for ourselves, we are doing it for everyone around us. Because at Bosch we believe that we are invented for life, and that means all kind of in a life.
So all in all, the future of education industry is very promising. This is what we are feeling. Definitely with support of the corporates. because without the support and motivation.
On a lighter note, future is always bright. It is the present which is the problem.
So that is true, but then again, we have to look at the future also, because we are designing the youngsters. We are framing them according to the needs of the industry. So somewhere, we look towards that also.
No, I agree with you, but I would also like to add that if we focus on present, our future will be taken care of. So our high amount of focus needs to be on the present. Just a time check, Swati. I need to leave at 12:30, 5:30. Huh?
Yes, sir. We are almost done. We'll take up the questions if anybody has. Anyone has any questions?
So I think just to add up what Subir sir was saying, that we have to focus on present. We need to have that eyesight for the future and look at with the positivity things and do the actions today. We need to be action biased, because traditionally we are intellectually and stimulating bias, and we engage into the lot of discussions, but on the ground level the actions take years to gather. I think that's where that that disconnect of the positive future vis-a-vis the current problem lies. So we have to be action biased today, take actions today, so that we can have a better future tomorrow. And that's what we have to really do. Otherwise, it will just simply remain the talk.
Noted, definitely. Subir sir, we have a question for you. It is from one of my colleagues from mechanical department. He is just talking about the concept of the lion, giraffe, elephant that you were mentioning. In that context, he is asking that if we talk about the job seekers, and in context of these job seekers of that government is trying to make entrepreneurs. How is private companies? How are these focusing on this, as they do not wish to do as to stay away from the competition? They are not involving in universities, in anywhere. Definitely, Tata is one of the groups, who is definitely in high connect with the corporate. Sir, I visited Tata Motors yesterday, and they are definitely in touch with many universities. They are doing great. But what about, his question is, but what about the other corporates? What kind of efforts can be made from our end that we connect with the corporate in this regard?
If I have, because there was some noise problem, so I couldn't hear your question properly. But what I have understood, most of the organization creating entrepreneurs, or what we call it as intrapreneurs within the organization, is not a fashion statement; is a necessity. Because any business cycle, if you see the business cycle, the business of any company has to go in a curve cycle. So what is going up will go down. So most of the businesses, you take largest name in the world also, they have a incubation center within the company, which at any point of time that company is working on 10 to 15 ideas. They incubate the ideas in a minimum viable product. They incubate the ideas into into a business model, and they are looking to scale up so that it becomes a larger business tomorrow, because they know that the current business will go down. So that every company is working on, and the best person to work is the students, because they come with a lot of fresh ideas. They are not they are not yet molded in corporate culture, so speak their mind. So most of the organizations are working with a lot of universities and students. So that is the best source. You would see any kind of new business models which are coming, or any kind of new startup which are coming. It is mostly coming from the students, because they have that I can do that, and they have this dare to dream kind of attitude, which somehow is not there once you work in the company for 4 or 5 years time. So corporate will be more than happy to work. Most of the corporate has these internal innovation and incubation centers. So if you approach any of the corporate, I think you will get a lot of positive response, and this is a very good thing which both university and corporate should do it.
Yeah. Sir, to provide a concrete example for that. I had one of the students who came as an internship, worked on this beautiful idea, which resulted in filing in a patent. So that means that there was a student who has not even finished the undergraduate, has a patent in his name in one of the advanced technologies of an AI. And so that just, it's an example that I really wanted to cite when sir was saying that it makes a lot more sense when we also, bring this aspect that innovation, research, all of these things are combined. And if students are really passionate, there are a lot of avenues for them to take it. That's the thing.
So I can share two examples. So there were four students who was working with me doing internship project, and I'm just taking one example. And one of the guys started first online mentoring portal, which is called cxomentors.com. The second guy, which I was giving you the example of online finishing school type, it's an online video based program called how to numeric to getjob.com. So these all were done by the students, and I'm aware of I also mentor a lot of startups, so I know a lot of students who have created fantastic product. So I think it's a very good avenue for students, colleges, and even corporates.
Thank you, sir. Sorry, but I have one more question from one of my colleagues. Sorry, I'm taking much of your time, but the last question, I guess we can take this up. So, Manoj sir, this question is for you. The thing is that we already have, couple of center of excellence developed in our university. One is by Mahindra and Mahindra. By the truck and bus division, they have placed one of their engines, and our students are being taught on that. And finally, when it comes to campus hiring, they hire from that particular batch of students who have been trained by the personnel of Mahindra and Mahindra. Similarly, we have one for Automation Anywhere, wherein we have developed couple of computer labs, and faculty from Automation Anywhere, they come here and they teach our faculty. And the students who get trained on this automation are finally being placed in the companies. So these are some initiatives that we have taken. Now the question is that these MNC are collaborating with us slowly and gradually, and helping us to develop their center of excellence, so that in turn the students are benefited, even the faculties get benefited out of it. So the question is that in future, does the other MNCs are also interested to invest their time, energy, and resources with the universities and help growing the students, for the future?
Okay. The answer is yes. Like you at your university, you have a center of excellence. I'm aware of that. Every university across India has different MNC center of excellence. So it is distributed things. There are some prominent institutes have multiple center of excellence, but they are distributed. Now, having said that, those journeys are the final fruits. This is the final fruit of the journey that people have taken at university and organizations at both the sides. The center of excellence is not in a 1 day or 1 year of an exercise. It is in a long duration exercise. That means we have to find out that what is that really means for us as a corporate to engage, what it means for universities to engage, what the benefit the university has is pretty much evident that students, the faculties, everyone will benefit. But the question which comes back to us is that what will be the benefit for us as an organization? And that's where we really, the make or break situation comes in terms of a center of excellence. So as you're aware, right, that organizations don't have unlimited resources. So we have a very limited resources, and we would always prioritize certain things. So therefore, all the that MNCs and also a lot of big corporate houses really want to go into this kind of a mode, for the same reason as you have said, that when the people comes in, it pretty much serves not only as a center of excellence, but what Subir sir was also mentioning is a kind of a finishing school. In your case, if somebody is just finishing from that Automation Anywhere, they are now fully proficient in their particular software and other things, which means that when they go there, they don't have to spend a lot of time. So they are getting a good talent. They are getting a trained talent on top of that, and that makes them, their life easier. which is also ensures that they have a talent pipeline. At Bosch, we have multiple COAs for the multiple topics, and we are continuously exploring the other avenues because the technologies are growing. And then there are certain clusters where the technology is available. We would always go and like to participate with universities and institutes in order to get mutual benefit for both the sides. So yes, answer is yes, but it's a long journey. Don't expect it to happen overnight.
Sure. Thank you so much. Now the time to wind up the session. First of all, I would like to thank our panel members, Mr. Manoj Kumar Parmar and Mr. Subir Verma. You were a great panelist. Thanks for the inputs given. It was a great knowledge sharing session, and connecting on this virtual platform and giving us the insights on the topic. It was really a great thing. It was definitely an enlightening session for every one of us. It gave us deep insight onto the topic, and we hope that the ideas, the suggestions that has been shared by you will try to inculcate in our regular working habits. So thank you so much. We would also like to thank our management for giving us this platform to engage this webinar with you people. As well as we would like to thank the faculties, my colleagues, and the students at large who were a great audience and definitely a great learners. Thank you so very much. We'll stay connected with you. Thank you.
Thank you, Swati. You have been a wonderful moderator, and I appreciate what the question which you have asked. One final thing which I want to share with you and all people who are listening to this is that this pandemic has shown us that anything in life is not more important than the life itself. So value life, enjoy the small thing in life, and good things will come. Don't worry. Pleasure having on this program along with you, Swati and Manoj. Lovely connecting with you. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Thank you, sir. Swati, wonderful session. Really like the way that you have paused the questions and split the time. Thank you for that, and thank you for the students who are listening. I hope that we are able to give you some initial spark in order to light the fire within, which I'm sure that you all will do it. So good luck. And as Sir say, enjoy the life and especially the small moments, because that's what makes you who you are. Thank you, and have a wonderful.
Thank you, and stay safe. Thank you.
Bye-bye. Bye-bye.
Bye. Bye.